Welcome everybody, welcome to Oz by Drone. I'm Greg, and that's definitely not John there.
Hey everybody.
Yeah, we had a unexpected, unexplained, don't know what happened to John. I hope he hasn't got some virus. I'm sure he hasn't, because we know last week he got tested for it, so I'm sure he's okay. We'll find out in the near future, but thank you, Lloyd, for jumping in at short notice.
Yeah, no problem. I'm always here hanging around anyways.
Well, there's a lot of things that hang around, but anyway, let's move on from that. Starting at the very beginning, the things I do want to share with people, the Sutherland Shire Council, I've been in touch with them again, and their executive who's in charge of this thing about the banning of the drones in my area, they've said apologies. It's still on my list. They're definitely going to get back to us with an official statement, but the unofficial verbal thing is at the moment is they will be removing the bans from flying drones in that location. It's definitely not an area that should be restricted. So that was a win. I just want to get it in writing.
Excellent.
You know what politicians are like. If it's not in writing, it didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So moving on from that, what else is happening? Lloyd, what's happening around your part of the world?
Not a thing. It's gotten so bad that, and we're so bored that we actually started bringing in boxes from outside and going through them and sorting stuff out. I mean, when I have to start doing this, I am taking down my Christmas tree. I want to get it down before Easter.
You told me about that before, and I saw on your phone a picture of your Christmas tree still in your house. Is that a family tradition, or just
no? It's just
where did
me.
that come from?
I don't know. When Judy first got sick and I started having to put the tree up and down and she couldn't help anymore, it's like, it got to be a joke. And like, well, when you go take it down? Well, by Valentine's Day. And then, okay, I didn't get it down by then. Well, April Fool's Day. No, it didn't get down. So depending how early it comes down, I try to get it down by Easter. It's just it's just my pure laziness. Like I have anything better to do. I'm retired.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have a lot of fun today, and just a quick little message. Now, during the show, normally I rely on Lloyd to help out with Stump the Yank as one of the things that he does from week to week, and I didn't tell him that he was doing that today because he's not. What he's doing today, we haven't got the music yet, but we're going to play Stump the Grump. A little bit later on the show, after we talk to Kelly, there's a secret, private, hidden chat room in Discord where people can go and ask any question of Lloyd, and he's required to answer it. Just have a bit of fun with it. It can be trivia. It can be something embarrassing. We're just going to have a lot of fun with it later. But before we do anything else, it's all part of the service. Before we do anything else right now, it's time for the news. So starting out at the top of the news today, we've got some information about our favourite manufacturer. Is DJI leaving the US? Now, it's obvious that many things will change across many aspects of life within the current COVID-19 emergency situation, but multiple sources have been reporting that DJI US-based repair and support staff have been laid off and leaving by the end of the month. And DJI apparently will now only supply direct from China. Now, I've got some footage from a discussion panel from SUAS News. Let's just have a quick look at that.
Skydio have shut down production. It's having an effect on the consumer drones. Skydio have ended production currently because they are in California, and where they are, obviously all the shutdowns are happening. It's had their effect. I believe DJI have shut down their repair centers. Same situation over there. You've now got Autel having supply issues with components. Again, that's off the back of their situation, which was January and February, and that's also hitting the computer industry as well. So, I think that there is going to be a shortage of product naturally anyway in the next month, let alone people not wanting to spend the money.
Yeah. So that's what was discussed this week on SUAS News. Now, obviously, COVID-19 has been a problem for IT manufacturers globally, but I guess the question is, what do you think? Do you think there's been an extra effect on DJI potentially with regard to the US-based restrictions on drones and all of that kind of thing?
I have an idea that probably has something to do with that and the fact that we restricted anything from coming in from China right now. So between that and the government saying we're not using your products, we don't, that probably is. That may have some. This might be their way of saying, "Well, you don't want to use our products, we won't sell in your country." Make it inconvenient for the.
Are they actually restricting the product? Like, are they restricting freight coming in? Is that kind of the level of restrictions you've got?
Well, I'm trying to think. I think we've halted almost anything that comes from China until it, or it has to sit in quarantine, even freight, because I don't know why, but I'm not 100% sure about that, so don't quote me. But yeah, we've pretty much stopped anything coming from China right now.
So I'm just going to put someone else on screen who, Kelly, I'm just going to bring you up for a second. You'll be our guest later, but I'm just wondering, have you got any idea, is freight shipping from China to your knowledge?
Well, I received several DJI products recently, so I would assume so.
Yeah, I wonder if they were received from US-based warehouses, existing stock, or yeah.
I know right now several things are not available on their website, like the Mavic Air. I don't think the Mavic Air. It might be available, but only if you buy the Fly More combo. So yeah, I don't know. That seems like that would really be a bad move for them. Maybe to Lloyd's point, maybe as a good retaliation, kind of you don't want to buy, you don't want to buy from us, you're going to quarantine us or whatever. But I got to think they have a very, very big market here right now, and to say that we're going to slow down the delivery of things. I mean, one of the best things about DJI Repair, at least up until now, is that for me, it's in Grapevine, Texas, which is just right up the road. So when I send something off to, and probably equidistant to you, Lloyd, you're south for you, north for me. But if you send something off to it, it's there in a day and it's back to you in just a couple of days. And so I'm bummed to hear that they're not doing repairs here in the US anymore.
Yeah, so I had heard from multiple sources that certainly they had laid off the staff in their repair centers. Had you heard anything like that, either of you?
No, I had not heard anything like that. And like I said, I just received several DJI things in the mail. So I've not seen the effects of this. I ordered a couple things and I had a couple things shipped to me, and it was all good. It came within 3 days.
Yeah. By the way, sorry for the weird shot. John was going to be there, but he's not there at the moment. But anyway, let's move on.
While I'm on screen, you got a super chat. Somebody is impersonating Ray Bob.
What?
Oh, my goodness gracious me. Ken Heron. Thank you for that. Thank you very, very much. Ken, thanks very much. It's very much appreciated. But let's move back to the news for a minute, and we'll get off that shot because it looks ugly with the letter B there. To be or not to be. And today is a not to be. Moving on to our second story of the day, disinfection. Now, people may have seen drones with sprays down beneath them going and spraying things. I don't know personally how effective that is. My gut feeling is not very. But what about indoors? You can't use sprays indoors anyway, and chemical spray is not always an option for indoors. And this product provides an alternative. Now, what they've got ultraviolet light on this drone. It is specifically built deliberately to go and try and combat coronavirus. And they're listing options inside kindergartens and other places that they want to look after their kids and so forth. As potential customers. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, that, I mean, the idea of the infrared, that's what I was going to ask, but you went ahead and said it was the infrared because that would be a good idea, especially, I mean, I don't think if the schools are shut down like they are around here, probably only the basic staff is in there. So there wouldn't be any problems with going in there and doing that. That's a good idea because that's one of the best way to kill this stuff is using the ultraviolet light.
Yeah,
if
and
you
I'm
can't
not
go and physically spray.
I'm not a specialist in this area, but I vaguely recall reading once before that some medical facilities, hypothetically operating rooms or whatever, have UV lights that they can turn on overnight to help sterilize and disinfect the room. I could be totally wrong, but I recall hearing that somewhere and extending that to something that's portable, because you don't want people around when you've got this light going on if it's going to be potentially harmful to us as well. So being able to control the drone remotely, really good idea. Yeah. Let's move on to our next one. Sorry.
I was just going to say, somebody said in the chat, the problem, it looks like it doesn't stay in place long enough for the ultraviolet to have done.
I did.
Maybe to be effective,
Yeah, so it does talk about some specifications of how long you need it to stay in a place to be effective. And I think I can't remember the details from the story, but I think it was 30 seconds in a particular location to cover an area and then move to another place. So it is recognized that is required. The demonstration video was probably not that effective in demonstrating what's required, but theoretically that should be possible.
Okay, good.
So let's move on to our next story. Smile for candid camera and photography. Well, this drone is taking family portraits during the coronavirus outbreak. Just come to your window and I'll fly over, as the post that he put in social media. And this was what we now see as the result. Let's have a look.
A drone which I use in the wedding photography, so I can come to people's house. So I just took my drone and took a few shots and put the post on the Facebook that I can come and shoot you. You need just to come to your window and I'll fly with my drone. And I put those on the internet, and then things got big since then. So everyone was liking and commenting and saying, come shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. And now I don't know, I receive like 20, 30 requests a day. When I came up with this quarantine portraits idea, I knew I have to shoot very creative. And I don't like the idea of people just standing in the balcony with a tear in their eye and looking through the window. I need people to do something, get creative, get crazy.
So that's an interesting one to have a look at. The idea of going and shooting people from their balcony, I think it's a creative way to go and use your drone, make some money, get outside your house without getting outside your house, and a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. Some of those people might not have should have had their pictures taken in their bathrobes, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, perhaps. But I mean, Lloyd, we've seen you in your bathrobe, so nothing's outside the realm of.
Good point. By the way, Wayne King just did a super chat.
Wayne, thank you very, very much. Can you send those super chats up to the screen? Are they working?
Yeah. What am I thinking? Yeah. Let me do that. I forgot. Well,
there we go. See, you can press the button. It's working this week.
I'm so used to it not working, I forgot.
By the way, just a funny story for our viewers. The software that I use is called Title Alive, and it's a good piece of software. But they forgot to feed the meter. Apparently, there's a API limit with how many calls you can do to the YouTube API, and they forgot to pay for another block or something like that. I don't know, but that's why it's been broken the last few weeks. They remember to feed the meter now. So thanks very much, Wayne. You're a regular supporter here, so it's very much appreciated. Next one I've got is interesting. Rock skipping, throwing rocks on, a lake or a river or something like that. This story, you can imagine, how can rock skipping work with a drone? You can imagine that it's not going to end well, but if it were possible, it might look something like this. Really awesome footage, and they did a lot of work to go and fly that. We'll play that clip a couple of times if we can. There we go. So they did have a few instances where it went into the water and they lost some aircraft and so forth, but a really good outcome nonetheless. I think the narrow channel probably helped them to have a good flight path to follow, but yeah. Thoughts, Lloyd?
I just put up a post. No, I haven't. I was doing my other job and I just posted this. Kelly just put up the super chat. Thank you, Kelly. Okay.
He had to spend $1 more than Ken. Thank you, Kelly. So
yeah, that was.
We will do
that rock skipping thing. That was awesome. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, we will do one more quick story and then we'll bring Kelly back in and have a chat to him as a guest. So let's just have a quick look. This one. Different movement possibilities with a drone and how you can maneuver them and the accuracy and all of that. This one is certainly an interesting one. There we go. So this one is out of, where was it? This drone has ranges of maneuvering possibilities that I certainly haven't seen before. Autonomous systems researchers at ETH Zurich have demonstrated this drone capable of flying and hovering in any orientation. It's extraordinary to watch these 12 coaxial rotors twisting and turning in flight. And it absolutely is. And the ones that I love is what we're seeing right now, where they're doing flips. Oh, no, that's not the one. It's at the end of the video. They actually do flips, and it's just amazing to me. This one, they've got it tethered, and they're actually having a look at how does the drone react to being tethered and still maneuver with that extra force being exerted on the drone. I'm just adding Kelly's mic in as well there. Kelly, what do you think of that one?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, I would love to see what it looks like flying in the sky untethered, right? That looks like something that you could do some pretty amazing stuff with, especially if you were out in a big space or if you were trying to get through a tight space. I think that's probably what it's designed for, is being able to maneuver through tight spaces. I am going to be able to test a drone called the Helios 2. I don't know if anybody's seen the Helios 2 before. I'll click back over to the chat so I can see if that's the case. But Helios 2 is a drone that is designed, and it does kind of a similar thing, but it has a sphere around it, and it's designed for going through pipes and different kinds of oil field, energy plants, stuff like that, and doing inspections. But it doesn't flip like that. What it does basically is if it gets caught, the cage will right itself and then it will continue flying. But this thing looks a whole lot more sophisticated.
Can we just put that video back up again and go to the last, say, 10 or 15 seconds, I think it is. Let's just try that now. We'll go.
So that thing looks really big too. I mean, I would expect something like that to actually be a little bit smaller.
Here we go. So here's the flips, and it's able to do that and maneuver and just do it as a slow controlled flip, which I think is pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty. I don't even know why they bother with landing gear. They should just have like a bigger sphere in the center so it can land no matter what direction it's facing.
Yeah. And here's another idea. Why not land on the props, but turn off the bottom props, because they've got top and bottom props kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that'd be an interesting change to it as well.
It's kind of like when you flip your drone over and you lay it on the prop so you can do work on it, right? It'll sit as long as there's a little cap or a little screw or something on the top.
Yeah.
It'll sit on them.
Just turn off the bottom layer. Okay, look, thank you very much, Kelly, for coming in. I asked you to come in today for a couple of reasons. One, because you're a fun guy to talk to, but two, we've been having some fun with video and Wirecast, and I thought it'd be interesting to chat about your journey playing with live video. And
Sure.
every week I say in the intro to in the description for this video, we talk about drones and the topic of producing a live show, but we focus on the drones a bit more. Let's move on to live. How do you find doing live broadcast, live video? What are your challenges, and tell me about it?
Okay, well, first of all, I think this frustrates a lot of people, but to me, I always want to have fun doing this. So if I get too frustrated, I try to just let it go. And the reason I say I think it frustrates people is that I think a lot of people take this very seriously, as they should. But for me, this is something that if I'm not having fun at it, what's the point of doing it, right? So ultimately, I try to be really chill and really zen with my live streams. That said, stuff goes wrong, right? I have problems with connecting somebody over Skype or over Rendezvous. I have layer issues, but you and Ken and also the whole Wirecast and also Mel from 400 AGL has given me some good advice. It's really helped me to understand how to do layers and how to do things a little bit better. I feel like it's one of these things, much like flying a drone, whether it's flying a camera drone or FPV, you take steps, right? Incrementally, you get better and better and better. And as long as you have an audience that supports you and won't give up on you if you make a mistake, then I think that you could take this to a point where it is as good as your show is, or as good as Ken's show. I'm not there yet, but I do it for the fun, and hopefully the audience tunes in for the same reason.
Yeah, let me ask you, I'm just curious, with my show, I know my producer over there has some things that we do every time we start up. When you take off and you're about to take off, you've got a checklist, a pre-flight checklist that you would use. Have you transferred some of that thinking into your video?
So here's the thing. Most of the time in the past, I've done this with either Philip, who's been my co-host, or I've done it by myself. And I just recently have an employee at my company who is interested in live streaming, who is starting to help me do these things live. And he is very, very pragmatic about wanting to do checklists and wanting to make sure that things are all kind of lined up in a space like that. That's not my personality. I'm more of an off the cuff kind of fly by the seat of your pants kind of guy. So I think that, to answer your question, in the past, I've not had a lot of checklists, and I've not had a lot of here's what we should do. I'm more worried usually about the content than I am about the technical parts. And that's been my challenge, is I need to worry about both things.
Yeah. In your journey, what are the things that you think have helped you to get from day one to day now? I mean, you say you still have some challenges, but what have you learned along the way?
Well, number one, biggest tip I have is always plug into a hard Ethernet port versus going on Wi-Fi. That's the number one thing you can do to improve your live streams. Number two is the connection into Wirecast or whatever software you're using. Make sure that you set everything up on the background first. So, for example, in Wirecast, you set it up as it's going to be this bit rate, it's going to be this resolution size. A lot of times I wasn't doing that ahead of time, and then I would get really stressed out because at the last second I would have to go in and set all those things. But there's definitely a pre-flight checklist that you have to do. And for me now, it's become just kind of innate. I know those things that you have to do ahead of time. And then the biggest thing, I think, is just to have fun on the air. If you look like you're not having fun, nobody wants to watch, right? People watch this to have fun with you and to participate in it. But if you look like you're doing this and it's a chore, then what's the point?
So let's talk about something different, right? So the non-tech stuff. There are different personalities, I think, in doing what you do when you're doing live. Ken is Ken. There will never be another Ken. You are you. I am me. But the question I ask is, do you think there's a different persona of you when you're doing live? Do you think, or are you exactly the same?
Meaning versus when I'm just shooting a regular video, or you mean just like day to day around the house?
Either or.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I've made over 500 videos on YouTube, and you start to realize something that I definitely think that I have a YouTube persona. I don't think it's very far from who I actually am, but it definitely, nobody wants to hear about my day-to-day problems. Nobody wants me to be in a grumpy mood. Nobody wants me to seem like, sorry, Lloyd, I didn't mean to use the word grumpy. Nobody wants me to, when I do YouTube, I'm doing it because I want to teach somebody something. Ultimately, that's what it's all about, is how can I teach or entertain? I'll give you a quick example. There is 4 things you can do with video. Can you name those 4 things, Greg? Only
Sorry,
4 things.
I was reading the comment from Artco. Thank you for your contribution to the tip jar. What was the question one more time?
There are 4 things you can do with video. Can you name those 4 things? Anyone in the chat, name 4 things you can do with video, and I'll tell you what they are, at least from my perspective. Greg, any thoughts?
I'll go with number 1, entertain.
Yes.
Educate.
Yes.
Educate. Document.
Yeah, but that falls under a bigger category. So entertain, educate, inspire, and persuade. Those 4 things are basically overarching. Any piece of video content you look at does one of those 4 things or some combination of those 4 things. And so for me, the easiest way to get viewers is to educate, right? People look up, how do I do this on Wirecast? Or how do I get the props on my P4 Pro version 2? They're really hard to put on. Or how do I do a hyperlapse or whatever? That's where, if you're going to have a YouTube channel, right out of the gate, I think you have to educate people, because people want that. They're searching for that, right? They want to learn how to do something. And then if you're able to educate them enough times, and they're like, oh, you know what? I was going to buy this drone, but it's a piece of junk, so I didn't. Or I actually didn't know how to do that with this drone, or whatever. Then they start to follow you. They subscribe to you. And you get to a point where then you can start to do more entertainment and more inspiration, and be someone who people watch because they want to kind of lift in their day or whatever. Ken is great with the entertainment part and also the inspiration part. He makes you laugh, he makes you chuckle, he makes you think. For me, I'm still in that sort of more educational side, I feel like, but ultimately, whenever I look at a video, I really want to think about, what is it I'm trying to do with this video? Is it to entertain? Is it to educate? Is it to inspire, or is it to persuade? Persuade's kind of one of those smaller things. To me, that's more like a political ad or a advertisement to buy something. And I do that occasionally to make, try and make money. But yeah.
It's a different category. It's the commercial market kind of thing.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one more? What have you used Wirecast for? I mean, we were chatting the other day, and you said you used Wirecast in a commercial setting, and without revealing any confidential stuff, how else have you used live video? What else have you done with it?
So there's a pretty large company. So I own a video production company called Sparksite. If you want to check it out, sparksite.com. And we live stream. We've used to use a oh gosh, I'm totally blanking on the name of the device that we had. It was a big honkin' computer that came in a big case, and I didn't really use it that much. But it was made by the company out of San Antonio that also made the Media 100. Greg, you know who they are? Anyway, I'll think of it in a second. What's that?
Pass. Crickets. Okay. Don't know.
So my point is, though, we have done live streaming with my company off and on for a while. The main guy who left, who did that for me, left the company. And so I was kind of shy about doing live stream for a little while. But with this current situation that we're in, I have a lot of clients who are like, hey, we're canceling our conference, so we need to do a live stream, or we have a new product rollout, we want to do this live stream. And so just last Tuesday, I did a live stream for a fairly large software company. It was a demand gen thing. It was called a virtual conference. They were supposed to have a conference, and we ended up doing it with a host that was live, several pre-recorded pieces, and then several people that came in over Rendezvous, and it actually worked really great. And we pushed it all to Vimeo. Now, Vimeo had some network issues that day, which was unfortunate. But from our perspective, it worked really well. But I used Wirecast to do all that.
Okay, cool. Well, I was about to go to Lloyd, but he's hiding. He's not in the screen at the moment. We'll have to wait for him and see if we can entertain ourselves for a couple of minutes. Let's go to somewhere else.
I remember the name of the hardware that we used. It was called the TriCaster. I don't know if you're familiar with the TriCaster.
I know the TriCaster. Yeah. It's got a very good reputation. Very good reputation.
Well, our TriCaster, the one that we were using at that time, was made in 2010. So we bought it in 2010, and we used it until about I don't know, 3 years ago. And then now you can do everything with software. Although I would be curious your opinion, Greg. I'll ask you a question on something that you have a piece of hardware, a specific hardware for to use. Are you using a Mac or using a custom built PC? What do you use to run your Wirecast setup?
For me, I'm using a Mac. I'm a Mac guy. I've been a Mac person for many years now. The only things I'd suggest with picking what computer you want, if it's a Windows-based machine that you like, make sure you've got an NVIDIA graphics card, and there are certainly other brands, but they're not directly supported by some of the live streaming products out there. So NVIDIA if you're on Windows. If you're on Mac, make sure it's a discrete video card, not an integrated video card. The third recommendation is...
Wait. So can you get a discrete video card in a laptop?
You can. So a MacBook Pro, for example, 2020 MacBook Pro, the one I've got sitting down here. Which one's that?
This is a 2019.
2019 MacBook Pro. That'll be fine. It's got a discrete video card in there. Absolutely.
Oh, it does. So that comes with the discrete card.
It does. Now there's one really for Mac users, the biggest tip that I can give anyone trying to do video streaming. The Mac has got Apple H.264 hardware accelerated video encoding in it. Now, intuitively, you want to use hardware, but there are circumstances when you don't want to use a hardware accelerated encoding on a Mac. The weird thing is Apple's got a bug. The bug is if you set your throughput, your bandwidth rate in your encoder, Wirecast or OBS or whatever it is that you're using, let's say you set it to 2 meg. There's a bug in the Apple environment where if you change a shot, let's say we change from this shot that we're on right now, and I'm just going to do this live for a second, bear with me, and I change to that, right? Now, the problem is that transition is a hard cut transition. And the bug is that when you do that, the problem is that it will spike the bandwidth. Now, if you're configured at only 2 meg, it'll suddenly spike up to 10, 15 meg, something like that. Now, if you've got limited upload bandwidth, that's going to be a big problem. But if you've got a large amount of bandwidth, and I know you've said you've got gig up and gig down, you don't care about that. So the other, let me just quickly finish the other side of the coin. If you've got limited CPU, obviously, but you've got, limited bandwidth, then you're really stuffed because you can't do the software encoding and you've got limited bandwidth. So that's the kind of no-win situation for Mac users.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, the bandwidth isn't an issue for me. For me, more it's the CPU usage. And even with that thing I was doing the other day, I was running about 35-40%. Here's an interesting point on this. I was running about 35-40% CPU usage most of the time when I would play back a video locally. So I had several videos in the queue that I played back. I would sometimes get up to 75-80%, which freaked me out a little bit. Is there a certain compression or file format that you can use to lower that CPU usage for video playback?
The first biggest recommendation is get your videos pre-processed into the same resolution as your canvas and make sure your canvas is the same resolution as your output and code. If you do all of those things,
that's good, because these were all videos that were sent to me to play back. So what you're saying is take those, run them through Media Encoder or something like that, and then make sure they're all the same size and same. It's codec matter.
Not really, but there's one other trick, and I personally have a separate screen connected to my computer, and I use VLC to play my video onto that separate screen, and then I do screen capture of that. So for me, that is not actually a problem. But the reason I do that is the built-in functionality in Wirecast where you've got to load up each video into a shot and have a separate shot button for each video. I don't want that. I want the ability to say, here's my playlist, and to be able to jump around and move around. Just
put
imagine,
them all in VLC, and then you can just play them, and there they are.
Yeah, there's one shot button, there's one button. So you know how, like the TV screen that you're on right now, and I go to here, and that's the TV screen that we would have for putting up a video. If I had to create a shot for every video and then have another secondary shot to go full screen for the same video, the number of shots just blows out infinitesimally. It's not scalable.
So Nick is saying that the NVEC codec which is NVIDIA's codec, is the one to use.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, that was something I had never experienced that before, where playing back videos was spiking my CPU usage so much. So that's one way I can avoid that, is to take those videos, run them through an encoder, and make them all the same to match my canvas as well as my output.
Yep. And the other thing, here's a little tip as well. I use FFmpeg for a lot of things. FFmpeg is a command line tool that you can use to pre-process videos in a standard way. It takes some time and effort to work out what is your command line for your particular use case. But once you've got it, you just throw the video file at it, input, output, done. And I'll give you another.
Is it just parameters you change in the command line?
Just parameters.
You just say,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And another simple example of using FFmpeg, for example, let's say there's a video I want to use and the original creator used some music that I'm not licensed to use. I've got a single command line. Rather than going into an opening Final Cut or Adobe Tools or whatever it is you're going to do, I run this command and I say, strip the music out of that one for me, please. And it does that without re-encoding the video, and it takes only half a second to do the entire file.
That's it can distinguish between voice and music?
No, it doesn't. It's not that smart. I'd love it to be able to. So if there's a clip that's a cinematic clip and it's got some background music.
Oh, I see. So it strips it out of the entire clip.
Strips the audio track out of the entire clip.
It doesn't re-export it, so you're not getting double compression.
Correct.
Okay.
No re-encode. So that's a really good tip as well. By the way, just for people's benefit, I've created in our Discord a new channel, Wirecast Support Line. Now, I created that as a bit of a tongue-in-cheek because sometimes I've had frustration with the Wirecast support team. So if you are a Wirecast user, there's now a channel in our Discord where you can chat to me and, throw some ideas around and vice versa. One other thing, if people want to play with live video, and I'm not doing a paid ad for Wirecast, but you can get a 30-day trial of Wirecast and play around with it. If you don't end up using it, so be it. But maybe you will, maybe you won't. But have some fun and learn and explore and enjoy it at the same time.
No, and I know, just looking at the chat right now, Dan is saying something about open source, which I think is great, OBS. I know that there are other good solutions out there. It's
Correct.
kind of one of these things. So once you start down a path and you kind of invest either money or just time in learning a solution, it's hard to change, right? It's something where if you are a PC user, you're going to be a PC user by default because you don't want to learn Mac OS. If you're a Mac user, it's vice versa. It's just one of these things where they all accomplish the same thing. Can you do it for a bit less money through something that's open? Now, Lloyd, I know you and Mel use vMix, right?
Yeah, I use vMix for my live shows. Although this set that I'm on right now is all coming out through Wirecast because I also have Wirecast.
Yeah,
okay.
So Lloyd's got the
both.
best of both worlds. He has both products. And I want to briefly answer the question about open source versus why did I pay for Wirecast? And for me, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, OBS on a Mac, there is a broken feature where the preview and the live, the split screen that we see in OBS and Wirecast, is broken on a Mac. It doesn't work. So you can't set up a shot and then go live. So without that, it's a dead duck for me, number one. Number two.
And vMix is PC only, right?
Yes.
vMix is PC only, so I'm stuffed. I can't use that. So that limits me. No OBS, no vMix. Wirecast is the only decent product that's out there. There's a couple of others, but they're not really ones that you'd look at. But there's one other big feature that I love in Wirecast. Their user interface with their layers, their 5 layers, and you're able to composite a shot and dynamically build things and overlay things. That for me is a winner. To be able to put that together dynamically.
Once you understand it, right? Once you really grok it, it's something that you can do. It's something that you can do intuitively. Oh, I know this needs to go up here. I have to tell you guys a funny story real quick. I actually have been, because I've been trying to get Wirecast to cooperate with me more. I've been watching a lot of Wirecast tutorials, and they have a help channel. They have a live stream they do that's like an hour long. That's kind of goes through. Today we're gonna teach you how to do 5 layers or whatever. And whenever I tune into those, invariably Greg gets referenced somewhere in those videos. So he is kind of a star in the Wirecast world with the Wirecast people.
Yes and no. They don't like me very much because I'm honest about the shortcomings. They don't like when I say, for example, and I've said it publicly, they have a structural problem within their company. The way that their company is set up doesn't allow them to fix some of the known issues in a timely manner. There are big systemic problems in the app that have been known for multiple years, and all of a sudden someone raises it again, and all of the community know that this is a problem, and they're like, oh, I didn't know about that. There are things like that that are frustrating. But by the same token, you have a look at other software products or hardware products or whatever. No company is perfect. Grass is always greener on the other side and all of that. I still stick with them. I'm going to call a spade and say, this is what I think is wrong. But you got to work with them.
Yeah. But anyway, it's easy to throw stones at it too, and even things like YouTube. We were talking about the new YouTube Studio version.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to play Stump the Yank.
All right.
My producer pressed the button prematurely, like I had pressed the let's get ready for Stump the Yank, and she didn't know it was time to do it, but we're going to have some fun now. It's not Stump the Yank, it's Stump the Grump, and she should probably change to Grumpy so we can see how grumpy he really looks.
Just leave you hanging, Kelly.
Now, there's one thing we have to do, because I didn't know Grumpy was going to be my co-host today because I thought it was John. So we're going to have to turn off his audio in one other shot. Now, where is it? My producer. Can you talk, Grumpy?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, that's the one. I've turned it off in the double shot. There we go.
Right.
So actually, Lloyd shared something with us tonight that I never knew, and maybe the audience is interested. Does anybody know? Let's let this sit for a second. Does anybody in the chat know why Lloyd? Oh, by the way, you got a super chat from Anubis Arts, TJ Grady.
Oh, Anubis, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I missed that one.
So does anybody know why Lloyd wears the hat?
I do, but I'll see if anyone in the chat does, and see what they come up with.
So why Lloyd wears the hat? If you can tell us why Lloyd wears the hat. As a matter of fact, I will send a T-shirt, a Ready Set Drone T-shirt. Here, put me on camera for a second. If you can,
let's put him up.
I'll send one of these shirts to anyone who knows why Lloyd wears the hat, and you have to say it in the next. All right, so good theory there, Dan, but not quite right about the wiping the top of his head, make him shine like a diamond. Nope. Keep the light out of his eyes. Actually, hey, Drone Ranger, that's a very good theory as well. Doesn't have to comb his hair. Ben, that's actually reason number 2. So he doesn't have to comb his hair, but it's not the main. Is that right, Lloyd? It's the second reason?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I want the main reason that Lloyd wears the hat. and I'm not trying to not no. Think about what's behind Lloyd right now. What are you guys seeing behind him at this moment? Grant, Mr. Stay Drunk.
Mr. Stay Drunk has it absolutely correct.
Yes, Grant, Mr. Stay Drunk. His hair doesn't get fuzzy on the green screen. Was he listening earlier? Because that's exactly what.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't listening, but he does know Lloyd. He does
he
know
knows-
Lloyd.
He's known me for 20 years.
Grant, can you hit me? Would Grant wear one of my shirts if I sent it to him?
Yeah. Grant, you'll wear it.
Well, if not, I'll send it.
I give you advance notice. He's an Aussie, so shipping.
Well, that's all right, man. I made a promise. I made a commitment.
Okay.
So
I already have a flight crew. He says send it to me. I already have a flight crew one.
Lloyd, do you have a Ready Set Drone shirt?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, all right. Well, I'll send it to Lloyd then on behalf of Grant. So thank you, Mr. Stay Drunk. That's very nice of you. Is that really his last name?
No, that's his character's name from World of Warcraft. He's one of the guys that played.
That would be a rough, real last name.
Yeah.
So I've got one more quick comment here, and I just want to see the reaction. It's in the chat here, so he knows he's facing forwards.
So nice.
No reaction. Okay, so here's what we're doing today. We're just going to have a little bit of fun with Lloyd. Normally we do Stump the Yank, but this time we're going to do Stump the Grump, and we've got some questions from our viewers. Now, for those of you who don't know, inside Discord, there's a secret channel, the Stump the Yank channel, that Lloyd doesn't have access to, so he can't see what you're typing. Now, you can put some questions in there, and we're going to go and read them out, have some fun with him. The first one, I am a seed with 3 letters in my name. Take away the last 2, and I still sound the same. What am I?
P.
Very well. Very good. First one correct.
Nice.
That's annoying. Okay.
Well done. Wow. That's pretty intellectual, Lloyd. Well, way to go.
Yeah. What would Grumpy consider the most embarrassing experience Grumpy has ever had or done?
I think it's happening right now.
No. We're talking about ones I can talk about
Yes, this is a family show.
That's why I've done a lot of things that are embarrassing, but some of them I can't talk about on a family show. God, I'm trying to think what is the most embarrassing, because I do something embarrassing every day.
Have a think about that, and
let me think about that one.
Have a think about that. Now, I've got a second one which is kind of related. This is think back to your earlier life. What's the craziest thing you've ever done to attract someone?
Oh, I can tell you what that was. When I was younger, I would ride bull. I rode bulls on the weekends because I thought that was a cool way to meet chicks. I didn't realize that after I got off the bull, I'd be too sore to have anything to do with them.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
good. And when
you
hit your 60s, I feel every one of those rides I ever rode.
Yeah. Okay, that one's interesting. Let's go on. What else have we got?
Greg, can I take an embarrassing drone story?
Sure.
Okay. So when this is probably 2 years ago, I was first getting into flying FPV. I had a buddy and we were going to race. We'd been talking a lot of trash. We set up our 2 drones side by side on milk crates in a park. And we basically were going to fly through some soccer goals that didn't have nets and do a big loop around this field. So we set them up and we arm and everything. And on your mark, get set, go. We both take off. And man, he's a better pilot than me at this point. And I am just killing it. I'm like, I can see, I'm wearing the goggles and I can just see I'm out in front. I don't see him anywhere. I round the corner. I making the loops and I'm just really super excited because I'm beating my friend who's a better pilot than me. And then all of a sudden I crash and he's like, and we're talking, he said, yeah, I crashed too. And it turns out I had my goggles on his channel So I was watching his drone the whole time. I don't even know where my drone went. My drone was off in the woods somewhere. I basically take it off, and because it's similar, my thumb movements were about what I thought they should be. I basically lost an FPV drone, thinking that I was racing. So that was pretty embarrassing.
That was priceless. I like that one. Okay. I've got a couple of others. Where was the first Girl Scout cookie sold?
Oh, I hate to say this, but I actually just read about that about a month ago.
In front of a Walmart.
In front of a Walmart. Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't answer that.
So the answer to this one, you're gonna kick yourself. You ready?
Yeah.
Muskogee, Oklahoma, 1917.
Oh my God, that's why I knew it. Gee. Okay, now to answer the
For
question
those who
about
don't
the most
know, that's where
moment,
Lloyd. That's
where I live.
That's where Lloyd lives. So
yeah, and for everyone who's never heard, what is the song? He was born in Oklahoma.
Are you talking about "I'm proud to be an Okie from Muskogee"?
No,
Yeah,
I'm talking about "Up Against the Wall, Redneck Mother."
Oh yeah.
Because it ends, the very last line of that song is Muskogee, Oklahoma, USA.
Yeah.
So I got a couple more here. One is a not really a question, but a statement. A few sandwiches short of a picnic. I assume you're talking about Lloyd there.
A few sandwiches short of a picnic. Yeah. Sort of like being a couple cans shy of a full 6-pack. Yes.
Yeah. And we've got one more. Lloyd, exactly how far are we away from the moon? I mean, you've worked in organizations where you should know this, so I'm sure. So
I have no clue. I could Google it though. Like Kelly's doing.
Yeah.
that's basically what the person who asked the question did, I think, 238,900 miles. But the question is, what is it in metric? Because as we all know, did you know this, Kelly and Lloyd, did you know that the Americans actually did accept into law that metric is the official system of measurement, but they couldn't agree on who was going to pay for the money to go and change the street signs from miles per hour to kilometers per hour?
Mexico's going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because we're going to build the wall in kilometers. Sorry, I didn't.
There you go.
Actually, I've got one more, and remember, you've still got the most embarrassing experience left to talk about. But coolest story from the armed forces.
Okay, coolest story from the armed forces that I can talk about. Well, I'll tell you, probably one of the coolest things I ever got to do is, this was before, you got to remember, this is in the 70s, okay? And I worked on the first 6 A-10s that ever came out. But one of the things we were testing was a missile, it was a digital tracking system. In other words, they used the body of an AIM-9 missile, which is a long, skinny missile. They had a head on it that was like a camera system, and they were able to broadcast that back to ground control. And when one pilot was following the other, they could actually see the pilot in front that they were chasing. You could see his head movement.
Did it have a gimbal? It was like an early gimbal kind of thing?
No, it was just they could just lock on and track him because they'd use the infrared tracking off of the AIM-9, but they had a camera style system in it. But it wasn't an actual camera because all we could see was a green line outline of the pilot, because they didn't develop cameras in their missiles until about a year later. But it was, so you'd see you'd see the outline of the cockpit, and you could see the guy's head turn, every movement he made. But It was all done on green line. It was a monotone green.
Kind of like the early TSA's body scanners, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Raster image.
That guy's got paper in his pocket. Pull him over.
But yeah, that was one of the first things. That and working on the A-10. I got to work on the weapon systems of both the GAU-8 30 millimeter Gatling. I got to work on all the bomb racks, weapon system tests. I tested out the first infrared system.
Now, Lloyd,
that they
are
had.
you saying they had airplanes when you were in the military? Was that okay?
Yeah.
It wasn't horses.
No, it wasn't horse. Well, I wasn't in the Army. I was in the Air Force. So, we moved on, but we moved on.
I was trying to give you a hard time there, and you
I
just
knew that.
right past it. Well done. I think
Okay.
so. For everybody who doesn't know, Lloyd and I sort of bonded, I think, over this. I was born on Kelly Air Force Base. That's why my name is Kelly. So,
Right.
And were you ever stationed in San Antonio at one of those, Lackland or Randolph?
Yeah, I went to boot camp there.
Which one?
Was it Lackland?
Well, I was born at Wilford Hall on Lackland, actually.
Okay, yeah. I know where it's at.
But at some point, Lloyd, I know you haven't been able to make it down for spin up, but my dad came last year. We were stationed. He was stationed at Kelly, but I was born at Lackland. But we were stationed in San Antonio in the late '60s. I don't know when you were there.
I was in mid 70s, right at the mid 70s.
You're younger than my dad. Sounds like.
Yeah. But
Okay.
And you're like my YouTube father, so thank you. and if I could grow one, I would totally grow a man bud right here, just for you.
Yeah. So Lloyd loves them. So Lloyd is like the godfather of the drone YouTube community. We'll call him the godfather from now on. Okay.
Well, that means if you cross him, he'll kill you, so be careful.
Well, he's got the guns. Anyway, Let's move on. Thank you, Kelly, for being part of the show today. It was something different, not talking about drones with you. But have you got any quick secret before you go, the secret that no one knows about that you can share with us? What would that be in the drone world right now?
Oh, goodness. Well, I do have a secret that actually you already know about, Greg, but I have a plan for Spin Up 2020. And I'm not going to share the plan yet, but I have a plan, which I didn't have 2 days ago. I actually came up with this plan yesterday. So announcements about Spin Up 2020 are coming soon. That's my secret.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being part of the show. And you're welcome to stick around either in the chat or in the background here or whatever. And
I will
have a chat to some people.
Chat it up.
Yeah, if you've got questions for Kelly, go and ask him there. And anyone who's got questions about live streaming, maybe we can have that as the topic in the Discord after the show. So I'll be in there together with Lloyd and a couple of others, and we'll chat about live streaming.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Kelly.
For having me on.
Okay, let's get back to Mr. Lloyd there. We've got a few stories. We're going to knock them out really, really quickly. The first one, Tesla. So I don't know if you've heard about the Gigafactory, but this one over here, there we go. Let's play that video. So this is a YouTuber, and let's see what he has to say.
Hey guys, it's Tesla Kid. Before the video starts, I just want to say thank you. Thank you guys so much for your incredible support. So many people donated some money to me. And it's just mind-blowing that I could afford my big dream, this e-bike right here. From now on, I could go to this site whenever I want. So you can decide, I think, here, how often do you want me to go there? Every day, every second day, every week, I don't know. You can decide. And now, let's roll the footage. Well, that was what I thought how it's gonna be. But let me explain. You have probably read the title and you...
So I'm just going to pause that there and move to a second clip and explain exactly what happened. So this is a YouTuber who's been having some fun and doing drone flights over the Gigafactory in Berlin that they're building over there. He's been doing regular shots where if you put it all together at the end, you're going to see the factory just grow up out of the ground by the time he finishes his project. But unfortunately, he recently had a security guard who didn't like that idea come up and approach him. And as a result, he, it was not a pleasant encounter for him. But the interesting end to the story is that Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, he saw a tweet where people had been reaching out to Tesla, hey, can we get permission for this? And he's given a green light. So I think this is going to be an incredible one to watch. Make sure you do go to the video description. Check out the link where we got this from, and make sure you watch this. I think it's going to be awesome to see from now until when it's completed the progress. And I think you'll also see, maybe if he does it as a time lapse, a pause in the whole process for the coronavirus, but then we'll see it go fast again a little bit later to the end.
Awesome. Yeah.
So we'll stop that one there. Thank you, my producer. But a beautiful set of footage. He's all specifically said that he wants this video to be available to anyone, no copyright. If you want to use any of his footage, go and grab it, have a look at it.
Ah, excellent. Excellent.
Okay, we'll pause that one there. And our next one, as we go down the list, compliance is something that is useful with drones. And this one here, we've all seen the videos. How do you feel about this?
Anti-COVID-19 volunteer drone task force. Please maintain a social distance of at least 6 feet. Again, please maintain social distancing. Please help stop the spread of this virus, reduce the death toll, and save lives. For your own safety and your family's safety, please maintain social distancing. Thank you for your cooperation. We are all in this together.
Lloyd, how do you feel about the idea of flying compliance drones?
You know, I mean, we've been in self-isolation now for about a week and a half, and I don't know. If it's just some guy doing it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where a bunch of volunteers are going out and doing this in areas where people are still gathering and congregating and doing all of that kind of thing. With this kind of a thing, I know America is land of the free and home of the brave, and you're free to go out of your house, but people are not getting the message. Do you think this is a good solution, and how does that kind of sit with the ethos within your community?
More than likely, somebody's going to throw a rock at the drone because we just, and if those knuckleheads want to get sick and deal with that, that's fine. As long as they're not spreading it to me, I guess that's okay. But, it's real simple. There's been so many public service announcements here in the States. I mean, we got every actor on YouTube doing a coronavirus, or every musician doing a coronavirus song, about washing your hands and all that. If these idiots haven't figured it out by now that they need to stay home and stay away, then let that be on them, as long as they don't spread it. They're taking their chances, but of drone doing that, more than likely someone's going to pick up a rock and throw at it.
I'm just saying a few things.
Just shoot it.
I'm just saying a few things in the US where, because of your freedom ethos, it's kind of working against you, is what I think is happening in some places. I could be wrong, but that's just what it feels like to me, looking from an outsider's perspective.
Well, Oklahoma is one of the 4 or 5 states that doesn't have a stay in place order, a full stay in place order in effect, and it doesn't seem to be making any difference one way or the other, because most of us have chosen to stay in place anyways. Like myself and Judy, and so in some of the bigger states, it has caused the spread of it, but I think most of it was lack of viable information when it first hit is what created the problem. But the drone thing, it might work for some people.
Yeah. Anyway, 4 more stories to go. This one, military-related supply lines. Now, you being a military person, you'd get this one. As emergency aerial missions become increasingly important during times of pandemic, drones are proving their worth, delivering vital cargo to remote or unreachable areas. And the Army is testing this platform where, think of it as a pre-programmed flight mission. Us as drone users, we know this stuff. From point A to point B. So their logic that they've built into this platform is simpler than what we would do with a flight mission. They say from there to there, and they don't have to program the altitudes or other things in the middle. There's some autonomy built into the system that it's going to work out the rest. It's going to do the sense and avoid, and be able to be
Right.
used by the military to move things around.
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea, because in a situation like this, where we have people that are in outlying areas, military that are deployed, and we don't want to send people in there, this is the second best thing. I don't know
Yeah.
on that particular drone what they're going to be able to carry a lot of, but
Yeah. Let's move from that one. We've got a couple more to quickly have a look at. The next one I don't have a title for because I actually changed the story. Drone video capturing an inspiring tribute at Clara Mass Hospital. Caravan of police, fire, EMS workers offered a touching show to support the healthcare workers at this hospital in Belleville. Just a nice way to recognise some of the people who are helping in this time.
yeah, absolutely.
And we've got two more stories left. The first one, a ship graveyard where there is a drone photobombing incident in this one. I'll see if people can find it. The title to this, when I first picked the clip, it says, "My girlfriend saw it while she was being my spotter, and let me tell you, it's incredibly hard to see another drone while in flight." And he ended up landing because of her spotter, his girlfriend calling that out. Let's have a look at the video anyway. This is from the YouTube channel called Find and Seek. Every week, all of our news clips, we try to attribute the source of all of the videos in the description. His channel is listed there. Encourage you to go and check it out. I've also invited him to come in as a guest on the program in the near future. But this is a beautiful video of the ship graveyard. So old ships that are past their useful life. Now, what's the one thing you need to remember when you're shooting this? I'm going to test you, Lloyd.
Always be aware of your surroundings.
What else?
Birds.
What else?
You return to home point? I don't know. I don't fly my drone enough to know what I should do when I'm shooting.
Oh, come on. I'm trying to get you thinking. I know the grey matter up there is a little bit out of date, but...
Yeah, it's way out of date today.
So these ships are made of what?
Metal. Loss of signal, yeah.
Compass interference. So getting too close to the metal surfaces can cause compass interference. So you need to be ready and able to deal with that if that does happen. What would you do if you had compass interference knowing that it was coming from an object beneath you? Short answer, go up if it is safe to do so. But try and avoid it in the first place. Try not to get too low.
Yeah.
Beautiful footage. I'm just going to let this one play out. It's absolutely gorgeous. And after that, we've got one more clip left. But while we're waiting for that clip, I do have another message, Lloyd.
Yeah.
In terms of Stump the Grump.
Okay.
So someone said, and the answer you should know because it was given in this show today. We're just trying to see how well your short-term memory is going. What is the name of the company that Kelly works for?
Oh my God. Not only that, but he's actually asked that as a trivia question on his Friday Night Live, and I still can't remember the name of it. Now, there is the possibility I did step out while Kelly was on screen, so I may have stepped away when he said that because I don't remember him even saying it today.
He did. And I think you were there at the time. I don't remember you moving away at that time. Beautiful footage, that one. Again, thank you to Find and Seek, that YouTube channel. Go and check it out. His link is in the description. The answer to the question is Spark Sight. You've just got to remember a Spark drone.
Spark, yeah. And that was my first DJI drone, and I know that. And there again, gray cells, they're not. I spent way too much time around my wife lately. I really need to get out and do some vlogging.
Yeah.
I heard your wife laugh at that.
Yeah, she did. Okay, we've got one more video left, and this one is a little bit of fun. So, rare footage. This is absolutely rare footage. Very hard to find. Rare footage of a wild drone leaving its nest in the hunt for nearby trees. That's all.
That's it. Yeah. Found the tree right away, too.
It was just something that I thought was cute and funny.
It was. It was funny. That was good.
Yeah. Okay, that's all we've got time for today. Let's just quickly give a couple of pieces of information as we do each week. If you want to send anything into the show, send it to upload@gregkuhnert.com. If you've got any questions about live streaming or video production, by all means, send it there as well. I'll see if I can answer your questions. Do follow us on social media on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, Mixer, DLive. If you watch us on YouTube regularly, do me a favor. It'd be good to go and get some watch time on Twitch. So do go over to Twitch and have a look at it over there. That'd help me out a little bit. We've got a few people who watch there regularly, but it'd be nice to grow that. Still stay in the YouTube for the chat, of course. If you want to send anything physically, the address is 5/127 Princess Highway, Sylvania, New South Wales 22224. So it's been fun, as always, having you, Lloyd. It was awesome having Kelly in, and it was interesting talking about a different topic about streaming and just the thinking that goes into it. I know the way I do it. Kelly's got his things. It's good for us to all share and learn as we're on this journey.
Right. Yeah. Kelly's always a great guest. I've had him on my show several times, and it's always enjoyable having Kelly on. He's just, he's a fun guy.
For the moment, Lloyd, last word from you before we go today?
Just everybody stay safe. Everybody keep your distance. Try and enjoy this Easter weekend as much as you can, and we'll get through this and move on to better times. Okay, so don't forget Monday 7:00 Central Time is my show.
Okay, thanks, Lloyd, and great for getting the plug in. See you next time, everyone. Bye for now.